Good evening, partners. I'm Architect Patch, and you are watching Curve TV's Bold Talks, your collaborative construction show, Season 2. How are you, partners? You are watching us via Facebook on Curve TV PH, on Kumu at TBC, and on YouTube at the Boulder channel. Here at Curve TV's Bold Talks, we will bring you the different sides and faces of the industry like never before. Fresh, inspiring, unintimidating. Join us for an hour of talk and more. Let's get ahead of the curve. Acoustic have an impact on the building as a whole and in turn human comfort levels. Without acoustic services, sound is controlled within specific spaces and noise transmission from one space to the other is minimized. This can be achieved with materials, design, and acoustic techniques. Now, joining us for today's program is professional mechanical engineer and also an acoustician, seismic restraint consultant, and studio and cinema consultant. Wow, with 13 years of experience, parts, let us all welcome engineer Kenneth G. Pua.
Hi, hello, Pat.
Hi, engineer. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good, good. Are you working from home or are you in the office?
Yeah, I'm working from home.
Okay, is this ever since the lockdown, or did you attempt to go back to the
Ever
office?
we already work from home.
Okay, and how's that going for you, engineer? Okay naman.
Yeah, it's
Like,
okay because since we start, we already have this work from home criteria.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so for today's program, right? It's all about acoustics, and this is one of the most it's one of the most important elements also in the building. But the thing is, you only know the importance of the acoustics once it's built already. 'Di ba? You'll know, like, for example, especially for offices, you know how important it is for conference rooms, you know the privacy of one room from the other. So people are kind of like asking like what is really the importance of acoustic ba? So for you, engineer, why does acoustic matter?
Acoustic is important, especially now. There's a new standard called wellness. So
Mm-hmm.
this is like a lead. So most of the offices and residential now are applying for this certificate. So acoustics is very important, especially for residential offices, cinemas, because when you're working, you need a good comfort level so you can work at your full efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And one problem usually for offices, if acoustic was not considered during design, is that you have this echo coming all around. So you have a standing wave. So if you have standing wave, sometimes if your office mate is talking, it becomes a bit louder. So it will distract you from your concentration on your work. Or if let's say you're
Mm-hmm.
talking to other person, it affects you. So what are the things that really affects you in an office space? So there is the aircon noise, there's the noise from your environment, and also there's a noise coming from outside. So outside noise can be categorized into two. First is the traffic noise, second is the equipment noise within the building or from adjacent building. So starting I think 2018, this become very important. That's why there's a new standard called WELL, so
Mm-hmm.
WEL. So this is about the wellness. So this criteria is focusing on the wellness of employee working in office space, also work when you have meeting rooms and when you're having a pantry. So it's more this standard is more into the most considered is the wellness of the employees. So there's this one.
More of for their mental health also, and
Yeah,
the
yeah, mental,
behavioral, no?
yeah, yeah.
Right. Is it is it really a requirement when you say, let's say I'm going to put up a new building? Is that certification required, or is that like an added ano lang? An
That's
added
an
certification?
that's added certificate. So uh, Ayala Triangle Tower 2,
Mm-hmm.
they applied for well. So there's one more residential project that I have. It's also applying for well. So this one is like lead. You can apply or you can just
Mm-hmm.
keep on the same stuff. But the advantage for well is you have advantage for the efficiency of your employees. Let's say so most of the larger companies, so if they're looking for a lease space, they look for a well certificate, especially if they're foreign, because they want their employees to perform at their maximum capacity, maximum
Right.
level.
Parang it's an added, no? It's an
Yeah,
added point rin kasi for the
yeah.
building. So engineer, what does it really mean ba talaga when you say that a room has good acoustics? Like, how can you say that it's good? Okay to, perfecto.
Okay, you can say the room is has a good acoustic if for example there's a noise from the adjacent area, it's not
Mhm.
transferring from that area to your place. So for example there's an equipment, for example it's a pump
Mhm.
or a genset or mechanical equipment, the noise generated by that machine is not heard on that certain office.
Mhm.
And also, actually, there are two types of acoustic that you need to consider. First is the sound transmission. So sound transmission is flanking from one space, mitigating to the
Mhm.
other space. Then the second is the one they call the reverberation. So what is reverberation? Usually reverberation are echo. So if
Mhm.
the area is echoic, sometimes it adds up noise, and sometimes it takes time for a certain sound pressure level or a
Mhm.
noise to cease.
Kasi meron, engineer, like for example, I've been to some restaurants
Yes.
wherein I don't know if siguro reverberation yung tawag doon. No? When you go inside the restaurant, parang hindi kayo nagkakarinigan ng kausap mo. There's a
Yes.
certain degree na nagsisigawan kayo because you're
Yes.
like with all the other noises inside the
Yes.
restaurant. So, like, what do you think is the main problem there? What was not considered? Merong material na hindi na nalagay,
Actually,
or is
if
it the
yeah, if let's say you have that problem, because this is usually problem of a restaurant, we also have designed some restaurant having this problem because usually if you have restaurant, the intent is that you can talk with each other without being bothered
Yes.
by some. This is usually caused by if for example the interior finish are too smooth, so it means
Mm-hmm.
there's no absorptive on that material. When somebody's talking, it's already creating like a tunnel effect in that room. So the noise doubles. So if for
Right.
example there's equipment, kitchen equipment being used, then there's somebody talking on the phone on a few tables away from you, those noise adds up and it reflects within the wall and ceiling and sometimes floor, and sometimes there are utensils that it's really distracting.
Yes. The
Yeah. So
utensils. Oo.
yeah. So
Maririnig mo eh.
we designed some restaurant with this problem because these are usual complaints from their customers.
Mm-hmm.
So we resolve this problem. So this design is usually coordinated with the interior designer because sometimes they want the restaurant to look nice, but it doesn't really sound well because
Mm-hmm.
they have glass, they have a a smooth surface, then the ceiling is
Yes.
also reflective. So it all adds up.
So I'm just curious, engineer, no, because this is going to be helpful, like for all those who are listening also. What now is your approach to that? So we know now that if you use a lot of smooth surfaces, maingay talaga yung lugar. So what are your like tips on how to lower down the
So
noise?
what we do is we provide some baffles to break
Mm-hmm.
the sound reflections, and we also put some dampening materials below the
Mm-hmm.
table. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you adjust the utensils. Then we have software. We identify where the reverb is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Then usually this one is really computed because if you have a certain space, there's a required reverberation. So from that, you can come up with the calculation. You should not exceed this so that that restaurant would not really sound hissy, boomy,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
there's computation for that, so that at least you can identify. So once you computed this, the next is to identify the surface that is causing this problem. Then the third solution would be to coordinate with the interior designer so that they can come up with the solution without sacrificing the aesthetic
Mm-hmm.
of their design.
So does it really help? Kasi some people what they do, yung yun nga may padding sa ilalim ng table, 'di ba? But what
Yeah.
others do, they add like parang egg grates, right? Is that really helpful?
Actually, the egg crates, that's an old treatment. But nowadays,
Hmm.
there are the materials that can have a better absorption. Egg crate can absorb a little, but the actual
Not that
performance,
much.
yeah, not that much because it's just it's actually it's an old technology because before there's not a lot of tools
Yeah.
considered to address this acoustic. So the sound engineer just think of some solutions just to break the sound. So they use egg crates.
Right. So at least now we can debunk that. Na parang okay, the egg crates are helpful, but that's an old style, right?
Yeah,
Of addressing acoustic sounds. So with this discussion that we're having, it really is important to already consider acoustics early on during the planning process pa lang. Am I right?
yeah, yes,
Kasi I mean, like for example, some would consider this in a more specialized project, right? So for example, like cinema or say a church, those structures talaga wherein sound is so important. But what about let's say, 'di ba, let's say mga bahay, right? During the process, alin bang mga kwarto yung talagang kailangan ng maayos na acoustics engineer na kailangan early on pa lang sa planning, kino-consider na nila yon.
yeah. Basically, for our projects, because we've done a lot of high-end condominiums, residentials. Actually, the most important is the master's bedroom, the
Mm-hmm.
bedrooms. If let's say your home, you want to have a privacy and to have a quiet space,
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. So for all these residential units, the most important is usually the bedroom. So
May isa pa akong, yes. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead,
also
sir.
depends because some high-end residential units, they also have let's say music rooms, they have home theaters.
Mm.
So those are the secondary.
Meron akong there's a condo that I've been to na napapansin ko yung acoustic nila isn't that good. Pagdating dun sa hallway, yung hallway sa labas and then with the door. So when you're inside the condo unit, you hear when people are walking outside or kakalabas lang nila ng other unit nila. Since it's already built, engineer, no, what are your ways to address this? Kung nga unit owner ka na and you hear those voices and those sounds, that's very distracting at some point. How can
Yeah.
you address this?
Actually, this one, you can address this by identifying the sound leak. So
Oo.
sound leaks are also like water. So it's if you're doing waterproofing, you want to seal everything. So usually the
Mhm.
problem of the hallway noise comes from the door, because
The
doors usually
door,
have
yes.
and if let's say, because some condo, if you have hallway, sometimes you have penetrating pipes or ducting from hallway to your unit. So those are the other things to consider. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of things to consider when treating a residential, because you need to address the structure borne noise, the airborne noise, and the flanking noise. So it's not only that from the hallway. Sometimes if you're sleeping, if the design of your piping is not isolated, so sometimes, because usually it's a given that during, if let's say 10 o'clock, most of the residents are already home. So sometimes the water is used most
Mm.
of the time, then the pump will run. So sometimes some other unit owners will sleep. If it's not isolated, they can hear the water hammering noise from their bedside. So
Right.
those are
So
things.
they really need to identify the sound leaks. That's what you
Yeah,
call it, right?
yeah.
So
And
that they can address it. Mm-mm.
so there are two types that sound can travel. First is through structure, and second is through air.
Yes, and I think siguro one of the DIYs that people can do, no, yung mga nabibili nyo na parang yung sound pads, right? Tas kapag dinikit ba nila dun sa walls yun, will that help as sound baffles for that
Actually,
area para man lang
actually,
ma-absorb?
yeah, that one, that padded wall that you can buy from any shops, or any hardware stores, is to address the echo. So for example,
Mm-hmm.
you use that because echo usually affects, especially if you're talking on a Zoom meeting, or let's say talking on the phone. Because if your place is echoic, sometimes they cannot understand what you're talking about because there's echo coming. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, instead of you saying hi, it's hi hi. It's like two times. So sometimes, especially if you're conversing with somebody who's a bit senior, so sometimes he cannot understand because the echo is also being transmitted through the phone. So that
Mm-hmm.
solution is not for sound transfer. That's only for the addressing the echo. So sound transfer needs to be treated. It's either if it's structure borne or it's coming from the gaps.
Right. Okay. Well, that's nice, no? These are some of the, kasi these are some of the problems that we are already encountering, especially for those na parang built environment already. Like, what can we do in order to address the acoustic problems? All right. So let's just take a short break. Now, when we return, we will talk more about issues and approaches regarding building acoustics. Don't go away, guys. Curve TV Bold Talk Season 2 will be right back. So, okay naman. Like, actually, very interested talaga ako sounds, especially yung mga DIY ngayon. Kasi
Yeah,
maraming tao yan yung concern din eh.
yeah.
Oo.
Especially everything is via Zoom, via
Oh, all
Acoustics.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're back. Sorry. Okay, so we're back now, and I was just asking engineer Kenneth, right, about all the other stuff that we can all, how we can all address our problems at home. Because even me, like, I also have some concerns on that, and we want to take advantage of this moment on how situation, because as you know, engineer, like a lot of people are doing with their work from homes, and not before naman we all go to the office, right? And offices are all built really with acoustics. Now, when people are at home, di ba, when you're on Zoom, ang malaking reklamo dyan ngayon is yung background noises. Minsan may maririnig ka na, yung mga aso. I mean, yun namang part na yun, we can't really take away. So, what are the ways that we can, lessen the noise? On how also we can improve the acoustics at home. Maybe later on you can tell us like materials that we can buy at the hardware and install at home. Marami kasi ngayong ganyan mga DIY projects. So maybe we can get some tips from you regarding that, 'di ba? So sige, we'll move towards that question later on. But I want to know, like, what are some of the critical issues and challenges that your company is facing now during this period? Kasi we're
Actually,
more than a year in lockdown na tayo eh.
yeah, actually, there's nothing that actually the only challenge that we have now is going to office, face to face meeting, but the project are still the same as before the
Mm-hmm.
lockdown. So because most of the developers they might suspend some projects, but they what do we call that, rebrand the project into another type of development. So there are
Mm-hmm.
some projects like we have that they used to have a hotel, then they now convert it into offices.
Mm-hmm.
So the project's still there, but it was rebranded as another type of building. And other developers actually are taking this opportunity to just keep on doing all the design. They only
Mm-hmm.
suspend construction, but the design is still ongoing. So
Ongoing, yes.
for designer,
Pagkaka, mm-mm. Pagkaka ganon, engineer, like for example, you mentioned about conversion, right? Conversion from, say, a hotel to an office. In terms of your acoustic designs, do you guys also adjust? Is there a big adjustment because
uh,
of that that
uh,
style? Yeah.
actually, if from hotel to office, there's not much adjustment because
Mm-hmm.
actually residential is more hotel are more stringent than offices because
Yes.
usually hotel are designed for people to have a rest and have a good sleep, while
Mm-hmm.
offices designed for you to have a comfort while working. So it's easier to convert from hotel to offices. The only
Mm-hmm.
difference if you have a well standard. So because you need to follow all the criteria that well would require to gain those points for you to have
Mm-hmm.
the certificate.
Para siyang ano, no? The well standard is like the parang lead certification, parang
Yeah,
ganon, for
it's like
acoustics, no?
yeah. No,
Right,
well
right.
for thing. Well includes lighting, comfort of seating. So it also includes it also include health, lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And so if let's say you're a well certified, there's a requirement that's no smoking within that building.
Mm-hmm.
You need to
Mm-hmm.
have signage. So your lighting should be this, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a certain size of window openings, and there's a certain amount of uh, air ventilation that's required. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
lead, not really on acoustic. So it's the requirement for those well is really wellness of
Wellness
the
talaga. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The overall effect on your health, whether it's
yeah.
mental, physical, and behavioral, right? So yun yung well. Okay, so that's one of the challenges that you faced, right? Converting of one building or one use to another. What are the other difficulties that you've encountered in this pandemic in terms of your line of work?
The difficulties actually as coordination with my staff because
Mm-hmm.
some discussion are better face to face,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, actually it's just the face to face, but in just few months we were able to adjust to
Yes. You were able to pivot already, no, and be able to work around the situation, which is the important factor, right? And I think most of us naman have adjusted already on how things work, 'di ba?
yeah,
So nung nagkaroon ng second round of the lockdown, we're like, okay, we already did this the first time, sige,
yeah,
ganito ulit, back to that. Okay, so now that there's already what we call pre-COVID, and then during COVID, and then now we're looking at a timeline wherein it's also post-COVID, right? Um, are there any innovative ideas and solutions when it comes to the acoustic industry that might change? in the post-COVID time? Like when everything is done, what are the innovations in terms of acoustic?
Actually, in acoustic and audiovisual, because
Hmm.
of the things that we've been designing now, for example, for the conference room, they now require that we provide them with the design that it will be capable for online discussions.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already preparing for that. So acoustic and at the same time on the audio visual system.
Mm-hmm. So
So have
parang
a
it's already built, no?
yeah. So it's like they have a control system that can be, for example, if I go to the office, I can just use my tablet to connect to the projector, to the screen, and I can use my tablet and and project it on the screen and use the
Mm-hmm.
camera to it's like having a Zoom meeting using the
Mm-hmm.
using the system on the office.
Right,
So
right. Parang already adjusted nga. Kasi I mean,
yeah,
I think naman when it comes to the video conferencing, though it was already present ever since, now people have seen the advantage of it.
yeah,
Like you don't really have to go from one place to another. You can all like there are some meetings that you can really just do via Zoom, right? Or via conference. Okay, so I mean, it's been a very insightful discussion, right? I wanna go back to what I was mentioning earlier. So now everybody's at home. Everybody's lahat yan nag-set up na ng sariling area sa bahay para maging office nila. So what are the advice that you can give, or what are probably some of the materials that they can look for? Siguro part of it in a way planning nila, mga DIY engineer Kenneth, on how they can make their room or their space acoustically sound very good when it comes to the acoustic
actually
side
I
of it.
have a lot of people asking me for this setup. Usually
Mm,
the that I would advise is to convert your window type into split type aircon, because usually if you
okay.
have a window type aircon, it's like you have your window open. So if ever whatever
Mm-hmm.
is noise outside, it will just pass through your window type aircon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay,
First,
that's one. All
yeah,
right.
because make most of the problem, especially with the school being done
Mm-hmm.
online, their problem is the background noise. So for example,
Mm-hmm.
you're within a subdivision, if somebody is cutting the grass, the noise is coming through your window type aircon. And
Mm-hmm.
if let's say the teacher asks you to say something, they cannot hear you properly because of the background noise. And also at the
Yes.
same time, uh, you will have problem because you're listening and you're being distracted by the noise. So that's the major problem that they're having. It's the outdoor noise.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
What about for the walls?
for the walls, usually for the walls you can provide a curtain, or if you don't have curtain, you can buy a bookshelf and put your books inside that bookshelf so that it will become your baffle. So when you're
Okay.
talking, you don't have enough. You don't have that much reverberation, because if for example you set up in a blank room, especially your room is
Mm-hmm.
painted finish, your ceiling is gypsum board, then your floor is
Mm-hmm.
then floor, it will really sound boomy. So if let's say
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you on the Zoom, or on this platform, you will also hear the reflection of the noise. So if I'm saying hello, you can still hear the other one. So that's why it's masking my first first word. So the way I talk becomes unintelligible because of the
Yes.
verb. Yeah. So
Of the reverb, no?
yeah.
And
So,
then, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
yeah. So basically, if let's say you're going to have your home set up, it really doesn't need for you to spend too much. All you have to do is just identify what problems are you experiencing. Because if let's say, even if you buy expensive product but your problem is a window type aircon because you have an
Mm-hmm.
opening, or let's say your your window glass is jealousy, definitely you'll have problem because
Mm-hmm.
if outside it just leak. So that's the first one.
Meron pa ako isa engineer na papansin. You know, I mean, there are windows, yung normal casement windows, no?
Yeah.
Tapos minsan, dumadaan pa rin yung sound doon. And I mean, you can't do anything about it anymore because it's already there. How can you make it sound better? Para
Usually
medyo to eliminate
what
the sound
yeah,
outside.
what you do is you buy the perimeter seal of those
Oo.
encased windows. So there's a product that sell those items. The one is called Raven. So you can buy it.
Mhm.
Just stick it on the window so that when you close, it's at least sealed.
And malaking tulong na yon, no, in terms of the
Even,
sound.
yeah, because even if you close it, there's still a gap, and
Yes.
doesn't matter if your gap is 1 mm or 0.009 micron, it still pass through it without
Right.
so that's the concern. So if let's say you still have the problem, the second is to the solution is to provide a sealant on those
Mhm.
gaps.
Tama, sealant na, no? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that those are very helpful tips, 'di ba? So I've heard a lot of, concerns about this. Syempre, regardless if you're an employee, an employer, student even, 'di ba? You try to eliminate these sounds. And I mean, yun nga, sometimes naman kasi the house isn't really built for a very quiet video conferences. So maganda yung acoustic topic natin ngayon kasi that will give them an idea on how to address it. And at the same time, ano ba talaga magiging effect when it comes to the acoustic industry post-COVID, right? Is it really an industry that was highly affected because of the pandemic? So okay, I mean, engineer Kenneth, tell us the services that your office offer and how unique your approaches are when it comes to providing solutions to your clients.
Yeah. So basically, like that, the way we have a noise coming outside. So it's
Mm.
that one is pest control.
Mm.
So that noise background. Yeah. So our services are because I started as a cinema designer, so I designed cinema
Mm.
recording studio. So we offer cinema consultancy, performing arts theater, recording studio design,
Mhm.
audiovisual, uh, residential project, hospitality, firing range. So
Mhm.
anything to do with sound, we can do it. Home theater, recording studio, music halls, performing arts
Mhm.
theater. We've done 2 performing arts theater now in Philippines. The other one is still being completed.
Wow. So
Yeah,
anything that has something to do with acoustics, right?
yeah, yeah. We've done a lot of government projects, embassies. We also did some 6-star hotel abroad,
Mhm.
and we did a lot of recording studios, and we have also did theme parks. We did Ocean Park. We did Kidzania. Kidzania, we
Mhm.
did recording studio, performing arts, and we also did a broadcast studio.
Right. And those are projects that are really high in terms of acoustic treatment, right?
Yeah,
So do you have a website, Engineer Kenneth, that
yeah.
they
We
can
have a
check?
website. My website is kgpuaacoustics.webs.com. So you can see
Mm-hmm.
our project there. We do museums, any other projects. We've done it. So we've been in the industry for more than 15 years. So the 13 years is an updated profile of us, but we started 2002. So it's more
Sure.
than 30.
Okay. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll put your website. We'll put your website on this link so that people can check out your projects and your services. And you know what? Before we end this segment, we'd like to say hi to Carlo Goze. He says hello, Engineer Kenneth. We'd
Ah,
also
Carl.
like to say hi to Alessandra Ko and Mia Casayas and Kath Paterno. All right, so Engineer Kenneth Pua, thank you very much for doing this. You've been really helpful and you've given us tips and advices when it comes to sounds, right? So good luck, sir, in your projects. So mga parts, Curve TV's Bold Talks, season 2 will be right back.
Okay.
Mama said you should get your girl. You've been staying in your room for quite so long. My daddy thinks that I might be gay. I've been seen with different guys for quite so long, but they don't know gender doesn't matter. There's just one thing that I want. Yeah, the one thing that I want. All I want is something that's real. A love that I could feel. Not a kiss on the bar, but a day with stars. All I know is worth the kill. All I want is something that's real. My brother said you should go on a date. Be with the girls, yeah, be with the boys you want. My sister thinks that I want something possible. Then I'll be alone if I continue to fight that goal. But they don't know. I believe love has time. Time for one thing that I want. Yeah, the one thing that I want. All I want is something that's real. A love that I could feel. Not a kiss on the bar, but a day with stars. All I know is worth the kill. All I want is something that's real. A love that feels so free. Transcends a form of galaxy. No matter who you are, what you are, you deserve to get no love. A love that feels so free. A sense of body in your hands. No matter how long it takes, how hard it takes, I'll find what is real love. Oh, it's something that's real. A love that I could feel. Not a kiss on the bar, but a day with stars. All I know is worth the kill. All I want is something that's real. It's something that's real.
TV's Bold Talk Season 2, supported by Workfolk, Collaborative Workspace, and Hospitality Innovators Incorporated. Now, for sponsorship and collaborations, if you want to feature your brands or your projects or even your company, please drop us an email at 1tbcchannel@gmail.com. Follow our socials at Curve TV PH and at TBC Plus, the Boulder channel. Now, during the break, we've shown a music video from our guest here, an upcoming artist who is also an architecture graduate. Parts, please meet Arnold Garcia, AG,
Hi
or
everyone.
Arnold G. How do you want me to call you? AG, Arnold G,
I think
what?
AG works because all of
All
my
right.
friends call me AG. Most of them.
Okay, I'll call you AG. All right. So AG, I love the setup. Are you just at
Thank
home?
you.
Are you at
Yeah, I'm at
home?
home.
All right.
In
So
my
I can
bedroom
see how
actually.
you I can see how you managed to try to make it very acoustically friendly with the padding behind you.
Yeah, I was listening to
So
Engineer Kenneth kanina, and then I was like, oh no, you're talking about egg trays. I have to listen.
there is exactly a reason why I asked him that, because a lot of people still use egg crates, and I think that's one of the cheapest way on how you
Yeah.
can address acoustic problems. So at least you were able to catch some points
Yeah, I
from
did. Took some notes.
engineer earlier, right? So AG, briefly tell us something about your music video and the inspiration behind that song.
Oh, Amethyst was actually I wrote that song around 3 a.m. maybe. I was like, that moment when you're just alone, and then you have like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it comes to pressure na, oh my god, I feel so alone tonight. So actually, I'm an Aquarius. So amethyst is my birthstone,
Oh,
and they say when you're
okay.
wearing an amethyst, you would feel like you're gonna be sober easily. So that moment, I was like
Okay.
feeling sober, and my thoughts were like, what do I want right now? Why do I feel like I'm lost? And then I wrote a line. All I want is something that's real. Then that's where
Mm-hmm.
the song came from. I wrote it that people need something real, something to hold on to, and maybe people could relate to that.
Yes, and you know what? Now that you mentioned that you're an Aquarius, you're an air sign like me. So you're very explorative, very into your
Yeah.
emotions also. Ganyan ang mga Aquarius, and very artistic as well and creative. So, did you come up with this music during pandemic? Like
Yeah,
really
I
in the
did.
peak of pandemic? Yeah.
Mm-mm. We started recording for the album was February 2020. So that was our start. And then
Oh,
suddenly the pandemic happened. So
boom. Okay.
yeah, boom, diba? So around we resume around May
Mm-hmm.
to record the
Okay.
album. And then for the MV, we waited siguro at least GCQ so that I can bring up my team to actually shoot the
Mm-hmm.
video. Yun.
So how many
So it
days did
was
you guys
tough.
shoot the video?
It's just a day.
Wow, that was a
One
day's
day.
work, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a
Right.
day.
And
Yeah. I love my team so much.
when did you
Hmm?
launch this music video?
It was simultaneous with the album around Feb.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Feb
And
7th,
I
I
mean,
think. Feb 8th to be
you're
exact.
one of those people who was really productive during the pandemic. I mean, it didn't stop you
Yeah.
from creating your music, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question, AG. Like, how did your passion for music and architecture start? Which came first, or was it both?
Hmm.
I really want to do both of these things.
I think architecture came first. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
you play Sims. You're an architect, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Architect
yeah, yeah,
Hatch, yeah. So you know Sims, right?
yeah.
So I
Right.
was playing architect during middle school. It was really fun.
Okay.
So when I was playing it, I was thinking that, oh, I think this is for me. And then
Mm.
during high school, music came in. I was student council, and I didn't know that when you're a student council, you have to showcase your talent. And then
Right.
that's where I fell in love with the stage, fell in love with music.
So
Kaso,
that's
when
when you fell in
college,
love with performance, with
yeah,
performing, ganon.
performance,
Okay.
yes. Kaso, college came. And then I wasn't that confident with music because I don't know any instruments yet. Like, I was more focusing on my vocals lang. And I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
not that good, to be honest, after high school. So college,
Mm-hmm.
Archie was really my first choice. So okay, go
Mm-hmm.
Archie. But then, of course, during college, as an art and architecture student, oh no, grabe, you're gonna be stressed. So, hahanap ka
Yes.
ng papanghawakan mo. You need an
Wala kang
escape.
tulog niyan,
Yeah.
right?
So my escape was music. And then
Mm.
suddenly I started writing music, learning about it. And then my best friend said, "Hey, I know a producer." So ayun, dun nag-start. I sent my song, sent a demo. Dun, he started producing, I started singing, and we came up with Lucky Star, my first
So
single.
that's the first
Mm,
one. Okay, because
yeah, it's the first single.
I was gonna ask, like, your first song, and you were already in college. You were in the
Mhm.
midst of your architecture journey. You know, walang tulog, stress, all the plates, right? What was the inspiration behind your first song? Did it have anything to do with architecture or any of your
No,
journey in
it didn't.
architecture? Not
It
at
didn't.
all.
Not at all. Actually, Lucky Star is about my one of my best friends, and she's one
Okay.
of the people who really inspired me. Actually, yeah. Actually,
Wow.
that best friend is the one that I'm gonna show later. I'm gonna show you an
Mm-hmm.
architectural project. She owns that place.
Oh, interesting. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Mm,
this is the reason why it's nice to talk to
mm,
people who are artists also, because
mm.
everything has a story behind it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the nice things. That's a nice blend between architecture and music, because you always have a
Mm.
concept behind doing things,
Yeah.
right?
Of
And I think
course.
you're a right brainer talaga. You're more on the creative side, EG. Okay. So all right, so that's an exciting part of your life. Now share some recent design projects that you've accomplished or like still
Mm.
working on. All right.
Actually, this is still under construction. As I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
earlier, this is as permission. It's actually my best friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my other best friend, my co-designer Gladys Ching, together with the contractor Nixon Tan, to develop as
Mm-hmm.
much as, because it's
Mm-hmm.
really an old house. I mean, an old building. So we really have to redesign it in a way that to look at what's happening on what can we do with the space planning, because it's quite small. So we did an extension. We did so much, but then I can show you a
Mm-hmm.
preview. So here's a preview
All right.
of
So
that
let's look at
project.
the projects. I will just turn off my cam
Uh,
so that the spotlight is on you. All right, but I'm still here with you. Okay. Why don't Okay, we're looking at your project now. Okay. So this is the still under construction before and after
yeah,
photo. Can you tell us more about that?
yeah. Actually, I can't see the photo. Where is it?
Okay, it's on Facebook.
Sorry.
Maybe you can see it there. This is the one that you sent with the before bedroom wherein wala
Oh
pang
yeah, I've
kama.
seen it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So what was
actually
the inspiration behind this?
mm, the client wanted something very, let's say, very minimal, but at the same time, they wanted accent. So
Mm-hmm.
we asked them to choose a palette. What I love about this client, kasi, she knows what she wants. So what happened
Mm-hmm.
is she dictates what she wants. So it's really much easier for me to
Mm-hmm.
showcase her vision to my design. So pretty much the
Right.
inspiration of the whole design is basically her, what she is as a person.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm,
And I can see how minimal
mm,
and how clean looking it is. Like
yeah.
it's very, it's very straightforward. And
Mm.
does she love the color green?
Yeah, it's at the
Yeah.
right now. It's still at the caseworks and decorative stage.
Right. Parang
Mm.
accessorizing the place, diba?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
why it's still under construction. All right. So you have a second slide that you want to show us.
yeah. I
Okay.
think.
So let's look at the second one. All
Sorry, I'm
right.
not logged in. I
Yeah,
can see
okay.
it, but yeah.
I'll dictate to
Okay.
you what we're seeing on screen. So it's still part of that project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um
It's the
we
same
can
thing,
see
I think.
now, yes, and with the ceiling, we've also played around with the cove lighting
Yeah, the cove
for the
lighting.
lighting. Right. Okay. So let's move on to the next slide. All right. So
It's a
now we are
kitchen.
looking. Okay, here we go. Talk about this kitchen. I'm interested to know about this.
Yeah, this kitchen kasi originally that's not the location of the kitchen. That's like
Mm,
it was a living room before. So what we did
wow.
was
Okay.
they wanted a bigger kitchen. So
Mm-hmm.
we suggested to space plant at that area because there's a window, perfect space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the client wanted, actually her mom wanted, na to have a really clean, like, like those designs where the decoratives would be the accent. So the
Yes.
space would be much cleaner. So it's all about white, all about creams. The palette would be simply on the neutral side so that when you put
Mm-hmm.
something there, it could come out. If you put a pendant light, if you put the appliance or anything, it
Mm-hmm.
would come out, right? So that was pretty
Right.
much the idea.
You didn't have any problems in terms of installing, say, the fixtures because it used to be a living room. So yung mga abang niyan, yung mga piping, you did not have any problem with the plumbing system
Oh,
on that?
our engineer Nixon, is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the one handling it. Of course, there were a bit of a problem, but at the end, we actually had a solution for it. So pretty
Right.
much, I think it went well.
Okay, so the key takeaway there is not because you don't have the abangs, what we call that, right, in our
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
architectural term. You can still
Mm-hmm.
find a way to work around it. It's just that it's
Yes.
easier. It's just easier to construct things when the abang is there. Okay, and
Yes.
you played around the ceiling. I noticed, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
parang you made it like a dark wood, parang walnut color for the ceiling. What was
Yeah,
the
PVC
inspiration behind
ceiling.
this? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
the inspiration behind that was an accent towards the minimal part of the
Mm-hmm.
kitchen. Because when you're doing something below, below your ceiling, most probably you won't look up. If you put it as
Mm-hmm.
white pa rin, it would look flat, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to not make it look too flat, we added a PVC ceiling above it so that
Mm-hmm.
below it would look more modern, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and it would look more, actually more dashing, like,
Mm-hmm.
parang when you see the kitchen to the counter na, oh, that's a kitchen, right?
Right, right. And I think
Mm,
this goes back to your concept of you wanted it to look clean, but at the same time you
yes.
wanted to have like a conversation piece or design,
Yes.
to
Mhm.
accent the place. All right. So we
Yeah.
have another slide after this. Can we see?
Oh, we have
All
to.
right. We have pa, or is this the last one?
Yeah, I think it's the
Let me
last
see.
one because the
Okay.
others are still on redesign stage, and I'm not pretty confident to show that yet. Actually, those two
Oh,
are still
that's
under
fine.
construction. The caseworks are not yet done, and there's more to
Right.
add to it. Mm-mm.
Okay, and I mean, thank you so much for sharing those projects with us. Right, you can see how did you do these projects during the pandemic?
Yeah, GCQ now.
GCQ na okay,
Yeah,
but
we
now that we're
started.
kind of like,
Mm,
we're like in a very weird situation where you don't know if it's GCQ or ECQ, right? So how is this affecting your projects?
mm, as for me, because I'm more of a designer consultant, so I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't need to go as much compared to the contractor,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much he's the one affected than me because they can
Mm-hmm.
actually call me, video call me, and show me pieces. Siguro the hardest part
Mm-hmm.
lang is choosing colors, choosing paint when you're not there, right?
Right,
When
right.
you're yeah, that's the hardest part lang when you cannot procure properly, right? Ayun.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so
Mm.
I mean, this is very interesting because it's not all the time that I talk to an architecture student who's also really pursuing a different passion, which is music.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So during this, I just want to ask this because during the entire lockdown, we're always at home because we don't want, we want to keep ourselves healthy and safe. How often, like say in a day, how often do you create music versus uh, do something for architecture or design? What is your pie chart? Is it like a 50-50 thing? Is it more 60-40?
Mm. Actually, it depends on the day. There are days that's
Mm-hmm.
80-20, 80% music,
Mm-hmm.
20% architecture.
Mm-hmm.
There are days no music, pure architecture. Because when you're in the
Right.
zone when making something, when designing, especially on like softwares like SketchUp, CAD, your
Mm-hmm.
focus is
Mm-hmm.
there. You have your coffee, your meal. You're not gonna move. You're just there.
Right.
6
When the
a.m. to 6
momentum is
p.m.
there,
Yeah, you're
diba?
just
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, same as with music. when you're on your with the piano, like here, this is actually my location. The piano, you
Yes.
have your Mac here, you have your MIDI. So you're gonna create demos. It's gonna be from 12 hours. You're not gonna move. You're just gonna move to take a bath or eat. So it depends actually. I usually do my time management well. I write it down. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do music today. I'm gonna do architecture today. But there are days that I do balance both, and I'm still working on it on how to balance both.
Right. I mean, whatever works for you, diba? And
Yeah,
I understand that it's hard to multitask both of them because you really have to focus and put your
yeah.
attention to it so that you can really have like a quality output. Now,
Mm,
I'm interested to know, AG, when you do planning or when you design, what
mm.
music do you play in the background? Because you're an artist. What's your go-to music in terms of, okay, this will be
It's
a
quite
good design?
unexpected because you most probably listened to my tracks already, so you
Uh-huh.
think it's pop, right? But
Uh-huh.
no. When I work, actually, I listen to classical music, or if
Oh
not
yeah?
classical, some
Really?
lo-fi music. I like music that has no vocals. Mm.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Beats and
Yeah.
music. And I mean
Mm.
your setup is very lo-fi type of
Yeah.
beats right now.
Mm.
Because that's usually what I listen to at night, when you want to already relax and not think of a lot of things.
Mm.
Lo-fi
Yes.
music. All right.
I love the
So
piano music then, of course.
exactly. Mga
Mm.
bedroom beats yan na lo-fi eh. So that's interesting because I want to know how, kasi sometimes the music that you listen to affects the kind of design or concept that you're doing, 'di ba?
That's very true.
So, right? And I mean, I've
Mm-mm.
I've experienced it myself also. Like if I'm
Mm-mm.
listening to, very upbeat, loud music, parang what I'm doing is parang ang daming ng accessories, ang daming details. But when I'm listening to like classical or parang medyo soft, whatever, medyo minimal yung lumalabas na design, right? So
Yeah.
those two things work. So, AG, advice to those young people who are pursuing two careers like you. It's not easy, but you're a good example
Wow.
that you can do two passionate things. What
It's
can
hard.
you advise to the young people
Mm,
out there?
I think that's hard. Okay. You have to love both of them, of course. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
baka what happens is you like this passion for a while and then you're gonna change it na again, right? So you really have to love that passion and make sure that you're really happy doing it because that's most
Mm-hmm.
important. Na happy ka when you're doing it. So given as you said, it's going to be tough. My advice is siguro be confident on your craft. Keep
Mm-hmm.
trying. Yeah, you can rest. If you want to rest, go rest. Trust me, you need to rest. But never ever give up. Because you never know kasi like maybe success is just around the corner, diba? Like I didn't expect to
Yes.
have an album for like 3 years ago, but I did. I have one. So keep fighting. That's my advice. If you really want it,
Right,
fight for it.
because some people would think that you have to choose right away, like
Yeah.
pursue just one career over the other. But I think people like you have trying to prove it that you can do both as long as you put your heart to it and
Mm-hmm.
time management. It's always time
Yes.
management, just like
Yes.
what you said. If you need to schedule it to jot down that okay, MWF, I will do RT. TTHS, I will do
Yeah.
music,
Mm,
right? Whatever
yes.
works for it. And thanks, AG. I mean, this is a short conversation, but it's very, very insightful. Before we go, I want to say hi to your friends who are listening. You have
Oh.
Dana Morales, Gladys, Ionizer, Ganuhay. We have Alessandra Ko. Ito mga friends mo. Ito Nixon, Branda, Ivy Lebreno, Chacha C. Ano to, mga batchmates mo ba to, AG? Lee
Some are family and
Anicas,
friends.
Jasmine Lang. We also have Marvin Crupasa, Lee Anicas, Nicole King,
Mhm.
Angelica Chua, Jem Ong. Thank you guys for listening and for
I'm touched.
supporting. AG,
Really
Chris Lee
touched.
Pagola is here also. We also have Kevin King. Mukhang kapatid siya nung kaninang sinabi ko. And Rachel Lau. All right. So thanks, guys. I mean,
So
again,
good.
it's nice to hear very stories like this. You're very young, and good luck good luck to your board exam whenever you plan on taking it,
Thank
right?
you.
And I know this is a very hard situation now, but I'm happy that you have music as your outlet
Yeah.
to keep yourself mentally checked
Mm.
and
Yeah, keep me
sane.
sane.
Exactly, sane in
Mm.
this time. Okay, thank you very much,
Mm.
AG.
So good
It's
to
a
be here.
pleasure having you in our program. Thank you also for sharing your music video with us. Continue
Mm.
making good music and good design, and continue to inspire young people in this time of COVID and pandemic, right? So, guys, tomorrow, Thursday, at the Boulder channel, watch I Connect at 4 p.m. at Kalokal Trip natin to at 6 p.m. Partners, join me again next Wednesday for another exciting episode of Curve TV's Bowl Talks at 6 p.m. back to back with Grind Talks at 4 p.m. Stay safe, everyone. Get an architect, get an engineer, get a contractor, and get ahead of the curve. I'm Architect Patch, and you've just watched Curve TV's Bowl Talks Season 2, your collaborative construction show. Bye, guys.